In our midst this morning, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Stein Hekroot. I hope it's pronounced properly, because ek nie praat Afrikaans, but I guess that's... Dr. Hekroot is a systems thinking strategist. He's a co-founder and executive director of a strategy consulting concern, assisting businesses with development plans on the African continent. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Stellenbosch Business School, virtual faculty member of the USB Executive Development, has had the opportunity to facilitate for the Business School of the Netherlands, Da Vinci Institute in Gauteng, and Stellenbosch University Institute for Future Research. Amongst these numerous publications counts the book Strategic Thinking, Game Over, which will be available later on for sale. It's a book that you need to get. If you want to change the way you've been thinking, that's the book. But this is the man. Big round of applause.
I'd rather buy the man than buy the book.
My wife thinks the same. I hope. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for that warm introduction. It's always nice for me to pay a visit to your beautiful country. I say that to everybody that I see in this country, that I do want to come and retire here. I am very tired of the 55 million people that I have to share a country with. It's long queues, it's continuous traffic, everything takes forever. There's just too many heads in South Africa for me to retire in a nice, quiet manner. I want to come and do it here. So I always regard my visits to your country as a little bit of a prelude of what I can look forward to one day when I get to that age. So thank you very much for your warm hospitality and also for the invitation by Bank Gaborone. I want to just say a special thank you to Sandra, that's been so instrumental in getting me here this morning, getting me on time, getting this presentation ready. We have spent so much time on the phone, SMSing, and sending text messages that this morning when I walked in here, I really felt that I know her personally, although I think we've briefly met once before, and that's about it. So thank you very much for your effort in putting all of this together. I think you can give her a warm round of applause. All right, without any further ado then, let me tell you a little bit about it is what I do. As was mentioned by the Master of Ceremonies this morning, I reside in South Africa, but I work on the continent. And I focus specifically on the African continent. I have done quite a bit of work internationally, in the Far East as well, and also in Europe. But that's not my main focus. My main focus as an African is to focus my energies and what I can contribute to this continent. I have worked as far north as Northern Sudan. I have a sister company in Ghana where we do a lot of developmental work as well, specifically assisting companies to grow onto the continent. And a lot of what I'm going to share with you this morning is based on the findings and the experiences that I've had over the past 7 years. I want to invite you to, if you want to hashtag, you're more than welcome to keep your mobile phones on and tweet as you go along. I've long since realized that these days you have to be very careful what you say. Sometimes a joke you make when tweeted comes out totally wrong on the other side, but you're more than welcome to join in cyberspace or hereafter connect with me on any of the what I call cloud connections. Alright, I want to start this morning's presentation by telling you a little bit about my adventure in Sudan. Sudan is a country, one might say, under kind of a civil war and in a state of a sanction. There, for the first time, really, I experienced as an acting CEO of a multinational organization 5 years ago, I experienced the challenges that a business faces when it has to manage, it has to remain sustainable, it has to remain competitive when having to operate in an environment that in many regards has become completely dysfunctional and what I call random, almost both in terms of the intensity of change as well as the pace of change. Now, when I share this experience with people, many people say to me, but surely that is an extreme example. In actual fact, it's not. The business environment, we only need to look at what the newspapers report and what goes on the news internationally to see that the business environment, up to a large extent, has become disrupted and has grown what I call a character of malice, probably best illustrated by the soldier boy there in the middle. Not really caring about business anymore, but changing rapidly and unpredictably all the time. Businesses worldwide are facing a lot of challenges in a number of aspects. Skills shortages on the one hand, unemployment on the other hand, almost having their own tug of war on two sides of a seemingly counterindicative scale. Europe, Spain, Portugal, Greece, just not managing to get out of their economic doldrums. South Africa, the country where I reside, slowing down economically for a number of terms now, not getting to our economic forecasts in terms of economic growth figures, being savaged by strike action year in, year out. In 2011 alone, we lost over R1 billion in wages in our country. Money that should have gone back into the economy, we lost that due to work stoppages. And also the official statistic that was released is we lost a total of 208 working days for every 1,000 employees. So the list carries on. I can name a number of things. China slowing down and then speeding up again. A lot of volatility in the environment. What this has led me to believe, though, is that as business and also as governmental institutions across the continent, we need to in some way or another change the strategic dialogues that we're having. We need to change our strategic behavior. And for this, in a way, I argue that we need to change our strategic thinking. And that is really what the book is all about. But behind the book sits a lot of research. And I want to thank you in advance for attending this morning's presentation and extending this invitation to me, because I want to take you through the outcome of a 7-year research project that I did along with the Business School of Stellenbosch, hence the endorsement of the book, and also with my promoter, Professor de Kooning, where we analyzed and investigated a lot of this randomness in the environment and tried to come up with manners of better managing the volatility that businesses are experiencing currently. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend a bit of time on the background of the book, and then also share with you what it is that we investigated, what we came up with, what the benefits are to organizations that embrace a new way of strategic thinking. And in particular, we're going to look at environmental complexity and dynamism as two characteristics that has got a tremendous impact and influence on the way in which we currently think strategically, and possibly also the way in which we will think about strategy in the future. I like to say that the book almost comes alive in the context of the Chinese wish, may you live in interesting times. I think up to a large extent this is a very appropriate way to describe the challenges that businesses face, postmodern businesses face, in terms of strategic thinking. And my promoter, Professor de Kooning, supports this when he says that in these times of volatility, it could appear that mechanistic and non-systemic success recipes to strategically manage institutions, in other words, in English, to continually try to manage things the way in which we used to manage it, is failing. And he wasn't very original when he made that comment. Peter Drucker, who's also a well-known business consultant, passed away in 2006. During his time of active consulting, frequently would remind organizations of the challenge that they have to reduce complexity of the environment and in our organizations into manageable simplicity. Now, this complexity that I've experienced across the continent also led me to ask the question, what would be the correct manner to deal with this complexity? Because